It's August 9th, 2023, and welcome to episode 82 of the BABYMETAL podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server, now and again, to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of BABYMETAL. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I'm Paul, and I'm joined by Kevin.
Hello.
And Maggie.
Hi.
Awesome.
We're running out of bits.
Awesome.
We're so enthusiastic.
Yes. Well, this is a special Wednesday recording.
It is a special Wednesday recording. It's just kind of in the middle of a week and just kind of here and like, hey.
You know what it feels like? It
Yo,
feels like
it's
a
Wednesday.
mid-season finale.
But with less hype.
Like we're going to do this and leave ourselves hanging until things start happening again.
Yeah. And then the new season starts next month. Da-da-da. Or in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like, it's been a month since we recorded, but, and, you know, we were thinking, well, we really need to, you know, we should record, and everything is just about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly has not happened.
Yes.
So we can talk a little bit about what's just about to happen. We can predict things that will almost immediately be proven false.
Yes.
As is tradition on this show.
Yes.
Right. But I think, so what we'd kind of plan to do as the main topic is kind of in preparation of the beginning of the very long U.S. tour and so forth, just talking a little bit about kind of what to expect at a show, things to think about that may be different between a BABYMETAL show and other shows you've been to, or maybe not different, but still things to think about, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So if people in the chat room have suggestions as to things we should mention, we will be interested to hear those too.
Yes.
All right, so let's see. Maybe before we move to that, what things have happened? We've gotten some merchandise announcements, I guess, for a couple things. The Summer Sonic has some collaborative shirts that have both Summer Sonic in a sort of BABYMETAL logo form and BABYMETAL on it.
With a Summer Sonic logo form.
Oh, yeah, I see. I actually hadn't noticed that, but they mixed the styles.
Yeah, they switched themselves. Yeah, they switched styles. It's kind of cool, I think.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty nifty. The Summer Sonic style is a little bit generic, so I didn't notice. Sorry, Summer Sonic, if you're listening.
Neat.
It's bubble letters.
Yeah, I'm not going to seek that one out. That one I think would be, like, if I were at Summer Sonic, I would buy it. And under no other circumstance.
I think it was actually a pre-order item because I've seen pictures running around Twitter X. I'm going to call it that. I've been seeing pictures, and I think there's actually a couple different colors, if I'm not mistaken. One for each Osaka and Tokyo. But I think one's like black and one's gold. But I know for the black for sure. But I have seen them around Twitter X a little bit, and they're you know, your standard t-shirt, of course, but on the back of it, it's actually kind of cool because it actually has the fox signs of each of the girls on the back, like near the neck portion of it, which is pretty neat. So, and it says BABYMETAL and Summer Sonic, and then the date on the below that. It's really cool.
There's also there's a couple other festivals, and they released merch for sort of merch announcement for those. And I think that's for just like all of their stuff at the other festivals. Like I don't think they're specific. It's the shirt's very cool. There's a shirt, a fan, and a towel. Yeah,
with the new logo on it. That shirt is actually pretty sick. Like it's really cool because it actually has a figure, the three figures, and they look like the girls, like the hairstyles of the girls, and it has the fox masks on them, and it's pretty awesome.
It's also pretty awesome that the official image of this says at the top in very large letters, BABYMETAL off the old goods.
I didn't notice that before. Oh my god. Wow.
They're consistent.
Gotta love it.
All right, let's see, what else? Is there any other merch? There is.
There is. So, yeah, we had the announcement of the Apocrypha, the other one, which Tokyo, or it's in Tokyo at Zep Haneda, It's next week, which is the 15th and 16th. They've already had tickets. Tickets are all good. Everything's been all taken care of on that end. And then they just announced the merch just a few days ago. They have, a t-shirt, which it's designed by someone who they've done some shirts in the past here within the last tour cycle or two. It's pretty neat looking. And then they have a luck charm. It says Baby Metal on it. It's pretty neat. And then, of course, they have the towel for sale, too, with the new logo. So that's what they're offering for that, for the Apocrypha. Another one.
How many more names can we burn around the something one theme? Another one. The other one. The previous one.
That one.
A new one?
The second one.
I will have to break in here just because I can't hear anybody anymore. So 1 second.
Oh no.
My headphones have died.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's never good.
It's our show now.
Yeah. Well, hijack it.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Metalverse podcast.
Right? We think we know what's going on. And we'll still don't know yet, but we'll see.
Reality is we know nothing.
I mean, it is the Metalverse. We know nothing. It is a totally different verse. So
a verse
what do
onto
you
a
think
verse.
you know? You don't know.
So are we actually discussing the 4 short things that we've seen?
No.
While you were gone, we took the opportunity to hijack the show, and we became the Metalverse podcast, episode 1.
Yes.
Awesome. But we will. I think it might be worth talking about those 4 things.
Yeah. We did get 4 Metalverse teasers, little shorts, and then they seem to, each short extends out the music that is played in it and is definitely other people singing, for sure. Doesn't necessarily give a 100% exactly what it is per se, but it is definitely a song, and it's actually been kind of amusing because Koba has been actually kind of interacting with some of these shorts and retweeting. I don't know what the heck they call it anymore. Retweeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to matter in 2 months anyway, but
fair enough.
We'll call it Twitter until it's gone.
Fair enough. But actually, there was one of those where he kept typing out GN and a little saw blade. GN, little saw blade. GN, a little saw blade, which we found out was in reference to the lyrics that were being sung in the video. Koba has been a little bit more interactive with Baby Metal tweets and Metalverse tweets. If you have not followed him on Twitter, it's kind of amusing. So it's Koba Metal _Japan, I'm pretty sure is what it is, if you haven't followed him yet. But yeah, that was amusing with that Metalverse teaser.
Actually, I'm looking at it now, and I guess it was not GN, but GZ.
GZ
saw.
Okay.
GZ saw.
Yeah, GZ saw. People kind of figured out that it was in reference to some of the lyrics that were being sung during the teaser. So we just still know that Metalverse is still performing as a opener at Summer Sonic Tokyo. I think it's Tokyo. They're only doing it in one of the shows. Yeah, and they still have the Metalverse unboxing that's going on. I think it's at the end of this month on the 24th, I think. And tickets, of course, have gone on then that too.
Yeah, Thursday, August 24th, Friday, August 25th. Yeah. Spotify O East.
Yeah. So that's going to be happening here soon. So we only got a couple more weeks before we find out what the crap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not even that. Next week, actually, we'll figure out what the crap at Summer Sonic. That'll be our first introduction to what the Metalverse technically is. So that'll be interesting.
Perhaps we can get t-shirts printed and say, we have found out what the crap. In celebration.
What the crap the Metalverse is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Listening to the music, it is interesting. I don't feel like I could imagine Baby Metal doing those. It doesn't sound quite like Baby Metal to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely too poppy in a way that I can't quite describe, because it's not like Baby Metal isn't sometimes, but still.
Right. Well, you know how it is, though, that sometimes they'll cut out like certain portions of a song and it's like, oh man, this is going to be like a great pop song. And then you go to listen to it and it's like super duper heavy. Like Mirror Mirror was like the only thing they ever showed off was that very poppy portion of the song and totally left out that was like, oh man, this is like stupidly heavy. So we might be surprised still. Who knows? We'll find out next week.
Soon we will know what the crap.
Soon we will know what the crap.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. So Metalverse. Next time we'll talk about Metalverse, no doubt, because we'll know something.
Mm-hmm.
There was another announcement that I feel like I haven't fully internalized yet about NextFest.
Oh, yeah.
They're playing November 3rd. And it's a sort of a small combination. Well, not all that small. Combination of groups that does include Bring Me the Horizon, but also Youngblood, Yasobi, I Prevail, Pale Dusk. Pale Dusk being the people behind the End song.
Mm-hmm. And Hanabi is going to be part of it too, which is exciting. Who Meg Metal from BABYMETAL, producing and stuff like that, has helped on. And actually, I figured out that Yu Yo Yuppie also helped with that album too. So, just some side notes to go listen to them too.
Yeah. No, I bet that'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, so at Makuhari Messi, November 3rd.
Mm-hmm. And then they're doing 2 additional shows before that day, or either before or after that date. They're going to, I want to say Nagoya, and I don't remember the dates. But there's 2 like pre-show festivals, and then Next Fest at Makuhari is like the main festival. They're basically just having the same like main headliners like BABYMETAL and Bring Me the Horizon, and Youngblood's going to be there, and I Prevail, but the other smaller bands are not going to be there. I know for sure Hanabi is only going to be at the Next Fest in Tokyo. This is as much as I remember.
And I finally understand why I didn't see Hanabi there, because it's basically just a bunch of like squiggly lines, and then under the logo, in very small letters, it says Hanabi.
Yeah.
But cool. All right. So yeah, there's as we hinted at before, there are things coming we can't talk about yet because they haven't happened yet, but they're almost here. Next November is not really almost here.
Oh, that's right. And also Maximum the Hormone is going to be there too, which is also a very popular band.
Another squiggly one?
Well, it's not squiggly by any means. It's 2 crossbones, doing the metal. Yeah. And for those who play the anime game, they're the ones who did the opener for Death Note, that anime show. So, yeah, it's called What's
I've
Up?
Heard of it.
It's
that
called What's Up, People, I think is the song. So if you're familiar with the anime, and if you've never heard of Maximum the Hormone, go listen to them. They're actually kind of fun. They're a little all over the place, but a lot of fun. It's a taste.
Cool. WoW did air, since we recorded last, the Clear Night, which I failed to take very significant notes on.
Yeah.
But so I'm sure they cut something out, and I don't know what it was. But anyway, look, it was nice. Metal Kingdom was fairly epic again there, and Metalism was interesting, I thought, just because it sounded a little thinner to me than the studio version that we saw before in the official video. So I'm still kind of trying to like it more.
Fair.
than the studio. Although there's a little bit of extra sort of guitar stuff in there that enhances it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't judge the audio quality of a bootleg copy of a WoW WoW TV stream.
Oh, well, nah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's second generation or anything. It's a 12 gigabyte digital stream, but it's possible the Blu-ray will be a little better.
Thin was not the impression I got in the building.
Fair enough. Yes, we have experience because you were actually there. That's not
what I would use to describe that one song.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is that gives me that impression, but it's sort of there's a mixing oddity where the like some of the pre-recorded stuff is quite loud compared to the live stuff. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, it's neat to see the audio that belongs with the video.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I mean is it's neat to hear the audio that belongs with the video that you see.
Fair enough.
I'm sure everybody's much happier now that I clarified. It's possible that we're running out of steam here. So maybe we should... Are there other news things, or should we move on to the topic?
Just real quick, there is a couple magazines that are in the process of being released, both of them potentially having Momo part of the interview. One of them being PMC, which I think we determined is releasing at the end of this month. And then there's one that will be potential. I'm assuming is going to be in English because it's Revolver magazine, based in I think they're in the U.S. And that is technically should have already have been released, although there's some pre-orders are still being taken on their website. And from what Paul said earlier, his shipment is still pending.
Oh yeah, like it's in that sort of early shipment stage where the post office has gotten, like, the label's been registered, but the post office doesn't have it in their hands yet.
Yeah. So if that's something that interests you, potentially, there are, what did we say, 5 covers. Obviously, BM is going to be the one that most of us probably get, but also Avenged Sevenfold, Ghost, Queens of the Stone Age, Sleep Token. I feel like I missed somebody, but they're also going to be. They have their own. They have their own covers too. So just in case you like other bands and want different other covers too, there you go. But Baby Metal has their own as well, with Momo on the front too.
And so you can expect her interview in that, as well as an interview with Koba talking about Metalverse
in Revolver,
in PMC.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical that Revolver will have Momo Metal represented in words, just because it's not new. I mean, it was sort of done quite a while ago. But the PMC one, I think everyone is pretty convinced. There's interviews. I can read it translated. Su Metal, Moa Metal, and Momo Metal talk about Metalverse. They talk about their embarking on their longest tour in history, being summoned as a new formation, etc. Yeah.
It's pretty explicit.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, it is pretty explicit. So excellent. So that will be. So that means Hedoban got scooped.
Yeah,
which
I think so.
Is kind of sad, but
I don't know. I think PMC is a better format for it because they kind of do the long format interview better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I will 100% agree with that. I don't know. I tend to enjoy PMC interviews a little bit more, and it seems like they're a little bit more loose in talking about different things than Hedabon as well.
Yeah, maybe. I like Hedabons quite a lot, but
they are quite good.
But I also like PMCs a lot. So
yeah.
Anyway, but so I'm sure there's going to be a Hedabon issue. It's just it hasn't been announced yet. I think the editor in chief has been sort of hinting about it. It's about to be some anniversary, some significant anniversary of the formation of the magazine. So, is it 10 years? I guess maybe it could be 10 years.
Oh, I thought the 10 years happened about around the same time as Baby Metal's 10 years. I thought. I mean, I could be wrong, but.
Well, I guess I wouldn't think so because Hedabon sort of started in order to cover Baby Metal, but Baby Metal had been going for a little while before they became significant enough to cover. So it wouldn't surprise me that much if 2014 was like the first Hedabon issue, or 2013 or something. Let's see. Maybe the internet knows. Hedabon magazine. But anyway, yeah. At any rate, there's going to be some sort of significant thing soon, and it just hasn't been announced yet.
And considering the head chief is like a big Baby Metal fan, I would not be surprised.
Let's see. I see some random website saying Hedabon celebrates first decade, posted February 2023. So it's got to be about right, some kind of 10-year anniversary. So magazines are coming. Probably a lot more are coming actually, but these are the ones we know about.
Yeah, as they hit the road, I would expect more.
Yeah. speaking of the road, yeah.
Way to segue that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think we were talking in our own sort of internal channel about things that might be interesting to talk about. And one thing that came up is that now that we're about to start getting into concert season, with this big, long BABYKLOK tour, we just might be interesting to talk about like what people might want to expect, particularly if you haven't been to one before. I don't feel like an expert. And I'm sure every venue is slightly different, but there are things that are in common and things people wonder, like, should I come 2 whole hours early and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a frequently asked questions we can bang out between the 3 of us in our chat here.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people will probably be going for the very first time, which is very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It is going to be a little different since it is being co-headlined, so things may run just a little bit differently as far as going into the venue is concerned, depending on what kind of tickets you get. But otherwise, it should be pretty similar.
I don't think anything will change how you get in.
Yeah,
depending on who's headlining.
I'm a little worried about that, though. Not so much about like depending on who's headlining, but just the sheer number of ticket tiers.
Yeah, I'm with Paul on that.
Maybe let's start at the top and then work our way towards entry. try and do it kind of chronological.
Okay, so
easier to follow.
Pack a toothbrush.
Pack a toothbrush. Yeah. So, as I'm sure you've all figured out, there are a lot of ticket levels. Mm-hmm. If you're like me, if you're like a lot of us, and you want to be as close as possible, you're going to want to get there pretty early. What do you think pretty early is?
Well, it depends on the kind of ticket you get.
Depends on the kind of ticket you got.
It depends on the kind of ticket you got. If you have seats just come whenever. If you are on the floor, it just really depends on how close you want to be to the front. Of course, anybody who has anything that is VIP is obviously going to be in front. And then anybody with standard tickets will be falling in behind, most likely into the more mosh area. So just for those who may not be interested in moshing, more on the sides. If you're interested in moshing, more in the middle. I
think I would also maybe add that if you're, just because your ticket says VIP 1 doesn't mean you can show up late and be at the barrier. This is really only about like the order they allow you in. If you wait so long that the general admission gets in before you, you will not be at the barrier.
That's true.
Right.
That is an accurate statement. Yeah, you need to be there at the time of the door opening to make sure that you're in the position in which your ticket presides. So don't make the assumption that just because you're VIP, what Paul just said, basically.
I guess if you show up right before they start letting people in, you can have the worst position your ticket tier allows. Basically, you can be at the end of the VIP's one.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you spent $900 on your VIP super ticket. And I'm exaggerating, of course.
Yeah. That's exaggerating.
But they are expensive.
They are expensive.
And you do want to try and get on the barrier. We have some experience with that. You're going to want to show up as early as possible. And what that means is there will people be in line, depending on the city, sometimes overnight. I've seen people be in line for more than 24 hours to make sure they secured their favorite spot on the barrier. I would say a general rule of thumb, if you're in a small to medium-sized city and want to be somewhere on the barrier, don't necessarily care where, just as long as you're leaning over it. Anytime before 7 a.m., I think is probably pretty safe for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention too, if you're one of those people who want to get there early, you're going to be with all the other people who've either done this before or have listened to this episode. In most locations, you're going to run into somebody near the front who's going to have a pen. That person is going to ask you what kind of ticket you have, whether it's a VIP, Ultimate VIP, either you're a fan of Deathclock, VIP, or GA. And you're going to get a number put on your hand. What that number allows you to do is hold your place in line so that you can hang out, walk around, talk to people in line, go take a bathroom break, go get lunch, go get a cup of coffee, come back, and reclaim your place in line. Something to remember with that is it is the honor system, but in all of my experience, everybody, I don't know, sub about 60 or 70 with a number on their hand has done this before and is going to honor that number. So don't worry about it. If you need to go use the restroom and you have a number on your hand, you're going to get your spot back.
Oh, yeah.
The caveat to that is because it's the honor system, it has nothing to do with the venue. If the venue screws up and lets other people in first, which has happened, your number means nothing. But we try, there's always going to be somebody who's done this before. And we try our best to make sure that, if you paid $300 for your ticket, you get to go in first. And that's just the disadvantage of this ticketing system, because most venues aren't used to this many levels of tickets.
Yeah, because not only is there VIP 1 or Ultimate VIP for Baby Metal, there is also an Ultimate VIP for BABYKLOK, which I think gets people to see a sound check, essentially, before the show. So, like I said, I'm not sure how all that's working. But if they take everybody in at the same time, that's great. If not, well, we'll see what happens. But hopefully that the people at the venue will understand how, that sort of thing functions and orders of operations and all that jazz.
Yeah, I just want to put a big bullet point under all that too. Be cool. If the venue screws it up, don't get angry. Just be calm. Try and help them sort it out and help them understand. Don't be an ass. They're just there to work. They don't know what's going on. Just be a good human being. Represent our fandom well when you're doing this kind of stuff. Because mistakes will happen and everybody makes mistakes. When it has happened, most of the places I've been to have figured out a way to fix it. So just work with them. Don't get aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. We want to be we don't want to be like, oh man, Baby Metal's coming around. Man, their fans are nasty,
Yeah.
Try to consider as the fact of, it might have messed up. I at least still get to see the show. Consider it that way. Yeah, I understand maybe money amounts, but, you're still getting to see the show. So if things happen, try to be somewhat understanding.
Yeah, and with the ticket levels, once you're inside, the best seat or standing spot in the house is the one you have. Just keep that in mind. You're still going to have a good time.
That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, one thing a couple of things that occurred to me while we were talking about that. The last time there was one in Boston, there were only probably 5 or 7 people there by 8 or 9 a.m. So it really does vary. But at the Forum, I think, there was a limit as to how early you could get there.
There was a limit to how early you could be on the property, but we stood on the sidewalk on public property much earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. And with lots of people just chit-chatting.
Yeah. So the smaller your city, the later you can get there, but I wouldn't get there after 8 a.m. anywhere.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty common for people to go on their own. I mean, so not dragging a friend with them or whatever. They're just going. But don't worry about that. I mean, if you can't get, it might almost be better not to be able to get someone who's not interested really to go with you, because then that would sort of dampen the ability to just kind of talk to all the people who are really into this with you in line. So that's the kind of neat thing is suddenly you're dropped in amongst all these people who are also interested in this weird thing that no one else in real life is. So. One other thing I don't know if we're ready to go in yet, but I made a tactical error the first time I went to see them, which was I had a VIP 2, I think maybe I had VIP 1, and I went in and I went to the merch booth because I'm an idiot. I think you have to decide what's important to you. There is a chance that some of the merch could sell out. But if you go to the merch booth first, you will be in the 3rd row and not on the barrier.
Yeah.
So if you're tall, then maybe that's fine. I am not tall.
Yeah, that's an important decision to make. I wanted to stay outside for a little bit longer here.
Okay.
Paul brought up a great point about a lot of people coming on their own. Don't be afraid to walk up to just about anybody. I mean, the standard social cues apply. Don't walk up to somebody who's like huddled into their phone and pretty clearly wants to be left alone. But if you see a group of fans talking, feel free to walk up and say hello. This is, generally speaking, one of the most welcoming, groups of fans out there.
Yes.
And that makes the day go by faster for everybody when you're having good, fun conversation, and you might make a new friend.
Yes.
So come up
indeed.
and say hello. Mm-hmm. Some other stuff you might see going on outside. This will vary greatly city by city. I would say if you're in a bigger city on the coast, greater likelihood of this happening. But you might see people handing gifts out. If you don't have anything to hand out, that's okay. Feel free to ask. I've never seen somebody turn that down. That is kind of I'm going to say this might be a little ignorant, Japanese cultural tradition thing where we all kind of exchange gifts and make things. I've seen stickers and coins and postcards and incredible fan art.
And calculators.
I've seen calculators. I've seen fake credit cards. I've seen I've seen towels. I've seen really intricate like figurines made. I've seen little vans, like little Sprinter vans, trucks with prints on the sides. If you name it, it's probably been a fan gift and handed out.
Yes.
But don't worry if you don't have anything. Don't feel bad about asking. But if you feel so inclined, these are all usually made, not something you buy. I have seen like off the shelf candy and snacks and little things like that too that are individually packaged being handed out. But generally speaking, they're kind of like handmade, of varying quality. I'm not an artist, but I make stickers and cards and things to hand out every time. And it's the thought that counts. So you'll probably see some of that going on depending on where you are. Enjoy, participate. Those are all really cool things. I have several large containers of those things from various shows. And, honestly, I appreciate that stuff more than, the t-shirt I bought at the merch booth. That's more of a memory to me and than anything I'll buy from this group. So definitely recommend participating if you're able in some capacity.
It's definitely not something I've seen with other bands. And I've been to a few shows, and that's something that's extremely special. It's just being able to, interact with all the fans and things in one capacity or another is just really nice. Yep. So
it is going to be interesting to see, and maybe we'll just start getting reports back once they start. But I don't know how this is going to interact with the BABYKLOK group. I normally, I think with almost any other opening band that BABYMETAL has been with, the BABYMETAL group is the one that gets there early in the morning and stays there all day, and and I don't know if there may be more of a mixture. I think there might be some pretty diehard BABYKLOK fans too, going early. So that will also
that'll be interesting.
Sort of a time to sort of evangelize across groups.
Introduce them to the culture.
Okay, let's see what else. Paul brought up another good point about going in. You kind of need to decide, do you want to buy something or do you want to go try and get as close as possible? You can't do both. So you just kind of got to pick one. If you have multiple tickets and you're fortunate enough to go to multiple shows, you could split your time, hit the merch once at one show, and then be a little farther back and get the barrier for another one. What else?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm planning to do. I have seats. I have too many tickets basically, but I do have a seat option at one of the shows, and I think I may just use that, go and deal with the merch at that one.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Usually the popular sizes of the good shirt, because there's always just one good shirt and then kind of some boring stuff that'll usually sell out. Or if there's something unique, that could sell out. So try and do that early. And you can take a risk and take this advice with a grain of salt. Sometimes if there's leftovers, it gets put up on Osmart after these tours. But that is pretty rare. So buyer beware.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And some, on the rare occasion, even on the like US and UK stores too.
Yeah, I think that actually the last ones were on the US UK stores because, that way they didn't have to ship them back. They were already here. If there are leftovers, it may be possible to get them.
I do want to talk about some not to-dos while we're outside. They're going to arrive either by bus or by van or by both. You can snap a picture of the bus, but don't try and walk up to anybody that's involved with the groups, any other groups. They're there to work. Their security is really tight. You'll get kicked out at the worst. Your ticket revoked, that kind of thing. Don't be a creeper. Let them do their thing. Our time is not their time, if that makes sense, right? We're there to watch them perform in the afternoon. So don't be a creeper outside. Nobody likes that. They don't like that. I have seen people get moved by security before. They value their privacy. So try and respect that. I've also seen people try and leave gifts for this group with the venue. I've never seen it work. Never heard of it getting through. Don't bother. At worst, I've seen somebody try and give them like flowers, which just came off really creepy. Don't do that. Save your money. I can almost guarantee that it will not make it backstage. They'll never see it. It'll end up in a trash bin, or if it's consumable, maybe the venue staff will eat it.
Right.
So don't do that. And then just be a good person. Be a good human being. It's not really a don't, but wear deodorant. Be respectful of everybody around you, and be respectful of the place around you. Don't litter or leave a bunch of crap everywhere. That's not cool either.
One other thing too, as a lady of concert going, most venues anywhere nowadays in the US specifically, I don't know about other countries, but specifically in the US, a big thing is having, if you do bring bags or purses or anything of that nature, they do need to be of a clear state. And usually you can find like the vinyl clear ones on like Amazon for like $10-15, if that, backpack size. They don't want them like super huge, obviously, but they do come in sizes that go across your shoulder, or have the like the backpack. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not the two-shouldered one, but the one that kind of goes across. BABYMETAL has sold them in the past, but they do have. There are clear ones that you can purchase at different other places. But like I said, most venues will require that if you have a handheld bag of some variation, that it needs to be clear. So that's warning out.
Yeah, and that's actually, I mean, I don't know that I have a solution or plan for this, but it's definitely a concern, is like, what do you do with your merch? You, generally speaking, if you get it, I guess if you haven't gone for the barrier, but you went to get it, and then there's a show, the number on your hand is not going to save your spot on the barrier. Once you're at the barrier, if you leave the barrier, you are no longer on the barrier.
Correct.
So you don't have a chance to go like put anything in your car or, anything like that. You need to kind of plan ahead and not like chug a bunch of liquid ahead of time. That sort of thing. Like one thing I guess I'm thinking about is that if you have a VIP ticket, they give you stuff. Usually it's not very interesting stuff, but it's like little, I think we had like metal straws and stuff like that. And they have to go somewhere.
I have the one that goes across your back, and it actually is a decent size to where if you roll a t-shirt up really tightly, you could probably get like 3 in this thing comfortably. It's really nice. So if anybody needs, I can always try to link it in our pod or in our Discord. If anybody is curious about that, because I've taken it to a couple concerts myself already, and it's really handy. So cool. It's roomy, but not super huge, and comfortable, and still close to your back. So yeah, just a recommendation.
And I think venues do have a size limit as well as
they
being
do.
Clear. So knowing that you have one that's like the right sort of acceptable size and clear would be great.
Exactly.
What I do is I stuff in pockets. If I buy a shirt, I can roll it up pretty small and usually get it in a pocket. If I buy a hoodie, I can usually tie it around my waist. Those are solid options as well.
Yeah, just wear all the shirts.
You can always wear the t-shirt.
I've seen people wear all the shirts before too.
Yep.
Heat stroke 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Right.
One other thing that is probably fairly important to think about well in advance is having some sort of ear protection.
Yes.
I mean, I guess I would not recommend choosing not to have it, but at least know that you have made that choice in advance. Because if you are going to have ear protection, and you ought to, you can get some fairly good ones that sort of that will that basically cut the volume down without really changing the shape of the audio, so it doesn't ruin the sound as much as like a construction earplug would. It would be worth looking into that, and I definitely would not go without those.
Yeah, and if you have to get like construction ones, they're available at pretty much any kind of like health store, like Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, that sort of thing.
Tons of options on Amazon.
Yeah, and there's tons of options on Amazon. If you happen to be like, oh, I want to go to more concerts more often, I would invest in a good set of ear protection. The only one that I know off the top of my head, I think it's called Eargasm.
Yeah.
I've always heard good things about those. That's the one that kind of Paul was explaining, where it blocks out the loudness, but it still has the quality still going in the ear, that sort of thing. But I've always heard good things about it. But I'm a nerd. I'm also a Baby Metal fan, and Baby Metal did sell earplugs during 10 Baby Metal years. And yes, I did buy them, and yes, I use them all the time, unabashedly. So
those are the sort of like hi-fi earplugs too. I mean, those are the good ones.
Yeah, they're supposed to be. Yeah, they're supposed to be the good ones. So, and they even have a little metal case that you twist off, and you take the little earpiece and you put it back on. It's like a little keychain. It's kind of cool. So, but yeah. So there you do have options available to you, but definitely for sure, 100%. If you think it's going to be loud, expect it to be 10 times louder than what you think it's really going to be. So I definitely suggest it doesn't matter how cheap the sound your earplugs are, just get a set. Any protection is better than none at all.
Very true. So let's see. We're inside. We have our earplugs. We know what to do with the stuff we bought.
Yes.
Let's talk about being on the floor a little bit, huh? If you're on the barrier, nobody in front of you, great. You're in a great place. If you're not on the barrier, you're not going to have any personal space. That's just the reality of being on the floor at just about any concert. You're going to be touching other people. When the show starts, there will likely be a small crush forward because people want to be close. If a pit opens, depending on the size of the pit, you might get crushed even further forward. And when I say crush, I just mean like the act of a body of humanity moving. I don't mean physically getting crushed. Not to scare anybody. But yeah, don't expect to have a personal bubble while you're on the floor.
Yeah. Wave movement may happen.
And have fun. Moshing is a thing that happens. It's totally optional. Plenty of people don't mosh. I don't mosh. I like watching the show.
I don't mosh either. I like watching moshers.
If you do choose to mosh, don't be violent. Don't throw elbows. Have fun. Run in circles. Help pick people up that fall. If somebody loses a shoe, try and grab it.
Or glasses.
Yeah. If you are a glasses wearer and you're on the floor, I have a sports band. Highly recommend it because I have had my glasses get knocked off my head before. So now I wear a sport band at every concert I go to. Just that can't happen because I like, again, being able to see.
Actually, I think all three of us wear glasses, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Crowd surfing is a thing. It's not my thing.
No.
But something to watch out for. I try and kind of keep a sense of what's going on around me to expect when somebody might be coming near or over my head because I don't want to get kicked in the head. I've seen it happen. I've never seen it happen intentionally, like somebody at Crowd Surfer just boots somebody in the back of the head, but it's a person being moved by hands on top of a sea of people. Stuff happens.
Flailing.
So yeah, be cognizant of that. Just kind of be aware of your surroundings so you don't get bonked. What else?
I guess if you're at the barrier, you probably want to hang on to it, or you will just get sort of shifted away. I mean, like, you do need to sort of cling to your spot.
Yeah, and with not knowing how the Death Clock community works per se, I don't know like how that'll affect things either. But yeah, sometimes you can kind of just somehow manage to be down just a little further than you originally, or somehow somebody kind of squeezes in beside you. It's like, hello.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, it's nice sometimes to hear the stories of delight of people who got general admission and managed to worm their way up to the barrier. But at the same time,
yeah, don't be that ass, please. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I don't allow that. If somebody tries to worm in next to me, I make myself very large, and I am a large human.
Yeah.
You are not getting next to me.
Yeah. You had better be like the nicest person since sliced bread to even get beside me. Like, there better be a good damn reason.
I wouldn't let my mother on the barrier next to me if she wasn't there all day.
You do, speaking of that though, want to shortly before you go in, hit the restroom and plan ahead. Don't drink your 64 ounces of stuff right before you go in.
Yeah, but make sure you are well hydrated. Don't go all day without drinking. It will be hot.
Yeah,
it is summer. It'll be hot.
Yeah, and speaking of drinking, some of these locations may have bars, so there may be people who are just a bit intoxicated potentially, so bear that in mind. One of those things of being aware of your surroundings. Some people can be obnoxious when they're drunk. Some people are okay when they're drunk. It just really just depends, but just bear that in mind that, drinking may be allowed in the venue at some of these places, so just bear that in mind.
Yeah, so you're kind of ready to go at this point. Have fun. Make sure you bring a towel for papaya. That will almost certainly happen.
That is a requirement.
Yep, you're going to want to wave that above your head, but hold on to it tight so you don't lose it.
And also sort of a moderately sized one, not like a beach towel.
Yeah, please do not bring a beach towel.
Yeah, don't do that.
The official towels are the perfect size for that, and I'm sure that's by design.
Yeah, they're called neck towels, are they not? Or face towels?
Something like that.
Something like that.
And then, have fun. Enjoy the concert. Do your best. It will be fun.
There likely will be at least one, if not two, opening groups before you get to the baby metal part, and be nice to them too.
Oh yeah, baby metal just doesn't go and just randomly grab Joe Schmo off the street. Although some of them are well known, some of them are lesser known, but there is obviously, especially in Coma's mind, a level of respect for these people that they have.
Just be respectful.
So yeah, please be respectful and kind. Although something I do recommend, and it has helped me out in the past, is if you don't know somebody that is playing and you're like, oh, I just want to be there for that, go ahead and just find something on YouTube, give them a few songs to listen, and just kind of get a feel for it. That way you know what to expect and not just stand there and be like finding it out at that point in time. That's kind of how I got a love of the band Avatar, because Avatar did open for Baby Metal's 2019 tour, and I freaking love them. They're great. They're awesome. And a couple years ago, I went to their their headlining show. Me and my husband, we went, and it was great. And now I love them. I'm a big fan of theirs. And you never know who you're gonna randomly find and enjoy, especially if they're an opening act. So, right. And even the Australian opening act, Relica, they're pretty decent too. And I didn't even go to that show. I was just by word of mouth. They were like, "Oh yeah, this opening act's pretty cool." And then they happened to have music on music thing that I use, and I was like, okay, this is really good. So just give a couple things a listen. Death Clock, obviously, popular for Metalocalypse, so listen to Metalocalypse. Jason, I can't think of his last name.
Richardson.
He is specifically musical. There's not any singing whatsoever. He is strictly a guitar player. I've watched a couple of his things. Pretty decent, I think. He's pretty cool. It'll be a fun time. But yeah. So like I said, if you're unsure of either one of those, just go to YouTube, find some things, and just at least give it a listen so you know what to expect.
Yeah, that at least definitely would be my approach. I tend not to absorb things very well if I've never heard them before and I'm hearing them at high decibels. So if you are the sort that really doesn't like a spoiler, I suppose you can just go try to enjoy it at first. But I think I would follow Maggie's recommendation myself for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Really, yeah, I think that really about covers it. I would look for, there's lots of social media groups that organize things like after parties and get-togethers around a lot of these shows. Again, your mileage will vary probably based on the size of the city and if they've been there before or not. But I would wager that most of the big cities that they're going to stop in will have some sort of get-together afterwards that you can find in various social media groups, Reddit, Facebook, all those other things. And those are always open to everybody.
Yeah, there's a couple of people who tend to try to organize those. I mean, like a couple sort of specific people tend to spearhead these, which is really quite nice. Yeah. So on the Discord server that's related to the subreddit, there's a bunch of threads with each of the individual shows in them, and information about the after parties would be in there. But it's pretty common. There'll be some some bar or space rented out that's not far from the venue, and you can sort of collect there afterwards and continue the evening well into the night.
It's always it's a fun time.
Yeah, I would kind of recommend. So one of the shows I'm going to is like near me, and the other one is not so near me. And it's actually kind of nice to travel to a place, because then in a sense, like, you can let the evening go on longer because all you're doing is just going to the hotel afterwards.
Right.
So you might consider that. Or even if it's, in your own city, just getting a hotel next to the venue so you can go to the after party and not have to try to make your way home at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Always kind of plan your traveling and where you're going to park and how are you going to get there, if it's by train or foot, or, map it out. Mm-hmm. It's definitely helpful.
Yeah. I guess I do, even though this is, sort of way out of sequence, I do want to sort of reinforce the fact that it's okay to come early, and people do it all the time. And, you don't, that doesn't mean standing still, like, staring off into space for 10 hours. It's all very, very friendly and communal. You can leave and come back and not lose your spot and stuff like that. So don't worry is the main thing. Mm-hmm. It will work out. Do plan ahead a little bit, but don't worry about it too much. Don't
be afraid to ask questions to anybody who looks like they've been there before you.
Oh, yeah.
Because they probably had the same questions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't myself have much recent experience with concerts other than these. But nevertheless, I have this feeling like it's a little unusual. Going to a BABYMETAL concert is not quite the same as going to nearly anything else, except a few sort of like other groups with mega fan bases.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Definitely, for sure. I mean, I just went to a couple concerts the last couple months, and yeah, it's definitely a little different kind of thing. I know that we got there at like 4:00 and somehow ended up getting barrier for this one concert that I went to with a few friends of mine. Like, we no clue how that happened, but it did. Mm. And because the VIP people actually got to be up on stage with the big band. So that's actually how that worked out, I think. Yeah. And then that was kind of the same with the Avatar show, just kind of people were just there and kind of went in and whatever. But BABYMETAL is just it's just a little and actually just a lot of the Japanese groups in general are very very communal and talk and interact, and the gifts and things. It is definitely a different culture of concert going, even with it being in the U.S.
Hmm. I know that it definitely it strikes people as funny, the idea that you might go to a concert, more than like an hour and a half in advance of when it starts.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. Actually, somewhat relevant. Taylor Swift just flew through the Bay Area here, and it made the news that people were there like 6 hours before the show. Like there was a news article written about it, and I was like, "Wow, really? That's it?"
Yeah, that's funny. I was sort of assuming that she specifically would have been, the competitor for people who were camping out the longest.
No.
But wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think mainly that is for the fact of like most of those shows are seats.
Yeah, they're all seats.
Yeah.
They're not a whole lot of them are going to be on the floor because floor seats
floor.
or floors in general is just stupid expensive. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. If you don't want to spend the day hanging out with other fans and you have a seat, then there is no point in going that early. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess unless you want to make sure the merch doesn't sell out.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, if even there are times where like if you know somebody who's going to another show, sometimes be like, hey, you can ask. Not always going to work, but sometimes you can be like, hey, there's a show, something got sold out. Hey, can somebody help me potentially procure this? Like I said, doesn't always happen, but sometimes somebody will be nice and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this for you, and things can happen and stuff like that. But don't bank on that, of course. But just saying that there's a possibility you could always, converse with other fans and potentially still get the merch that you want, but just something to consider.
I think there is sometimes a limit on what you can get, right? At the merch booth.
Yes,
you can't just go and say, I want 25
sometimes
larges.
it will say limit 1.
Correct.
Yeah, no. Can't do that, no.
Yeah.
It's usually a limit 1 or 2, depending on what the item is.
Yeah. You can get one of each, but you can't, yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of duplicates, but I think I kind of feel like I would have more if I had been allowed to buy more. So probably good for me that they have these limits. and also it's good for like the third person in line so that they're not all sold out.
Right.
Getting pretty soon here, this tour. It's like at the end of this month they start in Houston, right?
The 30th, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know some people going. It'll be good. It'll be great. Some people haven't seen Baby Metal in forever. Well, then again, this is their first U.S. tour since 2019, so it's been a while for some people.
I suppose we should do a run of stickers.
Yep.
Yeah, we should probably do a run of stickers, which we can always talk about
So I think
later here.
we're all going to at least one show. In the past,
Yes.
we've given out podcast stickers, so look for us. We should have more.
Mm-hmm. And albeit though, I'm still kind of debating it at this point in time, but I might be in cosplay. I don't know yet. And so, yeah, there may be a potential to be like, hey, there's a crazy girl in an outfit that looks just like Momo. Oh, hey, it's Maggie from that podcast. Yeah, come up, say hi if you see me. Like, I don't mind. Just, introduce yourself first if you could, because... yeah, appropriateness is at least required. Don't just be like, oh, hey, and give me a hug, because then I'll be like, whoa. Yeah, like, I'm nice, but like, dang, son. Like, come on. And plus, my husband will be with me, so just bear that in mind, too.
A lot of this story just got sort of like filled in here.
I'm sorry.
Quite an elaborate.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, still, either way, say hi. It's okay.
I think we're actually not, at this point, planning to all three be at the same show.
No, I don't think so.
No. I think me and you, Paul, are going to be at the same show, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think, Kevin, you're planning on staying West Coast, I think.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not staying on the East Coast. So.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm a little anxious about various things concerning the co-headliner, but once Houston happens, so Houston's going to be, if you're going to Houston, sorry that you're our guinea pigs, but that will be that will help
Yes.
tell us. Do we know who's headlining in Houston?
Not off the top of my head.
I don't.
Okay, yeah,
No.
that might also be an interesting thing to know. But,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you did their tickets on Live Nation or Ticketmaster, that the picture that is on the top of the ticket is who is actually doing the headlining for that night. Like the show that I think we're going to, I believe Baby Metal is headlining that night.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's I believe that is for both of the ones that I have tickets for. I think it has that property, which means it'll be like the longest wait in the evening before they start.
Yeah. That is something to keep in mind too. There may be some downtime in between performances, and it could always vary just depending on what kind of set pieces and stuff and instruments and things need to be. So there will be some waiting around too. So just bear that in mind during the show.
And it does look like Houston has the Baby Metal thumbnail. So now we know. We will at least know what one configuration looks like after Houston. Anything else? Have we covered all of the things that anyone might want to know?
Probably not, but I think we've got a pretty good start here.
Mm-hmm. If I was gonna say, if anybody has any additional questions, you can always ask in the Discord channel. We all three of us would be happy to probably answer,
or in the comments of the episode, wherever you're listening.
Yep. And I guess next time, so next time we'll have some news will have happened even before we get to the tour starting, I think, right? Maybe we'll just talk about the tour starting too. Who knows? Who knows when we record next? But
we'll get at least Metalverse information for sure.
Yep. Okay. Well, then I guess that is it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in 2 weeks, a month, something like that. We hope you'll join us then. And until then, see you.